Okay, awesome. So now we're going to be transitioning into something a bit different. We're going to get some stand-up comedy going here, which is going to be a great experiment in this virtual format. So just for this one performance, we're actually going to let all of the panelists or the all of the performers to unmute and show their video so that our comedian David can kind of read the crowd a bit as he delivers the punchlines. So a few things about David. He is representing both Orchard and Beach House neighborhoods as a resident of one and a CA in another. He's a regular performer at these open mics, so thank you, David, for always bringing new material to these things. Someone's mic is picking up some weird drumming noises.
The keyboard.
Whoever's typing, mute yourself.
He's typing.
And let's see, I asked David for a fun fact. He said his current scent in these times of quarantine is Ocean Blue hand sanitizer. David's current scent. So if you smell that around, David's been there. Take it away, David.
All right. Thanks so much, Alex. Hello, everyone. God, I'd love to be a cute high school boy whose house just got TP'd right now. That would be pretty great. As you can probably infer, I'm about to try and tell some jokes in the middle of a global pandemic over Zoom with possible lag, while almost everyone is muted and can't make any noise. I want you to know that I know that this was an interesting decision. I think the saving grace is that almost everyone is muted. So while I know I'm probably about to do just like a terrible job, I won't have any indication that this is actually the case. So I guess what I'm trying to say in these COVID times, it's actually possible for comedians to bomb asymptomatically. So it's particularly dangerous to be close to a comedian right now. So if you know any comedians, I would highly recommend distancing yourself some, especially if they're like an amateur comedian, like someone who is not actually funny, but really wants to be funny and is going to try really hard to be funny. I just think that like I would probably be about the worst person to have to be quarantined with right now. Like I can't imagine it getting much worse. Don't worry, my roommate is safe for me and in a more general sense. He moved back to Florida to be closer to his family and girlfriend. And so I have a 2-bedroom apartment all to myself. I feel like an industrial magnate, just luxuriating. It's really going quite well, but it's not entirely going smoothly. One thing that's coming up is that I'm not entirely getting along with myself, and it's pretty passive aggressive. Like one thing that's been happening a lot is after lunch, I won't do the dishes, and then here I'll just find the dish on the table. And I won't say anything, I'll just move it to the sink. So that it's getting pretty bad. It's getting pretty bad. Actually, I haven't said anything to myself in over a week. And I just know that I'm not going to be the first one to say something. Like if I'm not going to speak up, then I'm just going to let it be quiet. That's how I feel. It's an interesting time to try and tell jokes, especially given my style of jokes, which is kind of to play myself as some sort of victim. Like a lot of comedians, they tell like these crazy stories and it's like, whoa. And then my comedy is like, whoa, and it's just kind of a tough sell right now to really play myself as a victim. So I'm going to try a new angle. I'm going to be a bit of an expert who has some. And I really feel well prepared for this moment because I've actually been social distancing for quite a while. Before it was a health thing, it was just kind of a me thing, like my modus operandi, I'm all alone. And I think one good way to explain this is you might be surprised to learn that I'm not actually single. Yeah, I was single for quite a while. But then about a year ago, I stopped being single. I started being celibate. I just think that's like a better description for the situation going on here. Some of you as well maybe recently went from single to celibate, and I thought like now you could benefit from my lack of experience. And so, one thing I've picked up, it works for me, it might work for you, is that I'm trying to stay like current and up to date. And, as an adult, I think you're trying to cultivate certain like competencies. You want to learn a little bit about cooking, and you want to be good at financial budgeting, and you want to know how to pleasure a partner. And so, given my limitations, I've taken to reading a lot of books about sex. Like She Comes First, or Joy of Sex, or Make Her Orgasm Again and Again. These are real titles of books I recommend, and I really think that this has been the best way for me to learn, because I've always been a bit of a book learner.
Oh, no.
Alex says to prove it. I think this is probably the only one So I've always been a bit of a book learner. I am worried that some things won't translate from the page to the real world. I think my biggest fear is that I'm going to mispronounce a word. Yeah, like I'm just really worried that I might start talking about the Mons pubis. It just seems a little stilted, maybe. Yeah. So other advice I have, I think it's really important to take precautions right now, even with social distancing. A couple of weeks ago, I managed to pick up a cold despite a lot of social distance. And it wasn't acute, but I've had to stay in my room for a while now to make sure I don't spread anything. And my parents, God bless them, they dropped off some emergency supplies, just the essentials. There was a thermometer to make sure my fever wasn't too high, and they dropped off some cans of soup. I did notice that they managed to slip a box of matzah in there, which I can only imagine is because, like, when you're sick, you want to stay away from complicated foods. And what could be a simpler food than the food our ancestors had to make when they didn't have time with the bread rise because they were running away from the Egyptians thousands of years ago. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that Judaism isn't a proselytizing religion. So you're not trying to convince non-Jews to become Jewish. But as a result, I kind of feel like my parents are the Jehovah's Witnesses at the fire station, just like at home, like it's just like thousands of years of tradition and thought and identity, and it's like all just focused on young Jewish adults, like I feel like the secret to Jewish parenting is to make all of your children feel as if they were only children. I think that's really the goal and the aim. But, I really value my Jewish upbringing and my parents quite a bit. And, we have Passover coming up, and, the Seder transitioning to be more digital. There's going to be some adjustments we have to make. So there is a part of the Seder that's typically really beautiful. You say next year in Jerusalem. And it's usually a symbolic thing that means, you hope the world heals and people come together. But this year, I think I really just mean it literally. Like I'd like to be able to take like an airplane to Jerusalem if I need to. If the world's at that place, that would be great. Like even if that airline was El Al, which is like the national Israeli airline, which is like if you show up at the airport, they like grill you about the name of your rabbi when you had your bar mitzvah 15 years ago to prove you weren't a terrorist. Like they're like, why do you want to go to Israel? And you're like, honestly, this whole thing has been so frustrating. I don't even know if I do want to go to Israel anymore. Like I pray for that sort of interaction, as long as it's face to face, as long as we've gotten to that point. So yeah, that's one part of the Seder that's going to mean something different in these current times. And another part is there's a really nice part of the Seder where you open up your doors to the community and you say, all who are hungry, come and eat. I did hear that they are amending the official Haggadah this year. And this year it says, all who are hungry, please stay where you are, but shout out your username for Venmo and we'll make sure to get your delivery options like DoorDash. And it's a little bit wordy, but maybe it's the thought that counts. The hardest part of the Seder to adapt is definitely going to be the gefilte fish. For those who don't know, gefilte fish is like a hot dog of the aquatic world. It's like a food with this impossible texture made of unidentified parts. of the bodies of fish you don't know. And I can't say that it's good, but I can say that it's compelling. You know, it's salty, and when it's offered at Passover, I usually have one. The thing is that, like, you'd never have two. Like, even someone who claims to like gefilte fish isn't going to have two. Like, if you try and go to Costco to buy gefilte fish, they're not going to sell in quantities of more than one jar. They're like, that's plenty. You don't like, even when our grocery stores run out of all other food, like, there's still going to be gefilte fish. So trying to figure out how to source like the right quantity of gefilte fish for one person is going to be a big challenge. Something else that I think isn't being hoarded right now is toothpaste. Because here's the thing about toothpaste. It's like for the first 3 weeks, you have a toothpaste tube, it's entirely full. And then like for the next year, you swear there's not a day's worth of toothpaste left. It's like every time I use toothpaste, it's a Hanukkah miracle. I thought there was only enough toothpaste for 1 day, but it lasted 8 months. Okay, so the last bit I'm gonna do is like my bittiest bit. It's really dumb, but I figure now's a good time for doing really dumb things. Try and laugh. Okay, so do you guys like impressions? Okay, here is my impression of Jimmy Fallon. He's a nice enough guy. I just think he tries a little bit too hard. But hey, that's just my impression. So. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you, David. Awesome. Our one and only brave comedian of the night. So we're transitioning back to music now. Whoa, lots of clap emojis for David in the chat.